morning, good morning. It is your boy Jacobo back at it again for Not Many Noble, reading the Bible through in 22 with you. Reading through in chronological order as always, and we are in Jeremiah and Ezekiel today. Judah taken to Babylon. It is August 15th. That means we have been reading the Bible 227 days together. We've got 138 left. It is National Relaxation Day, National Lemon Meringue Pie Day, National Acadian Day, and National Check the Chip Day. No idea what that is. I can think of a lot of different chips to check, but I don't know which one they want me to. I don't know. I could find out. I could go, but I'm not going to, because I'm going to jump into Jeremiah 37, verse 11, and pick up where we left off yesterday in the World English Bible Translation. We use it because it's in the public domain. We can use it without fear of reprisal or getting in trouble, either or. When the army of the Chaldeans had broken up from Jerusalem for fear of Pharaoh's army, then Jeremiah went out to Jerusalem to go into the land of Benjamin, to receive his portion there in the middle of the people. When he was in Benjamin's gate, a captain of the guard was there, whose name was Arijah, the son of Shelemiah, the son of Hananiah, and he seized Jeremiah the prophet, saying, "You are defecting to the Chaldeans." Then Jeremiah said, "That is false. I am not defecting to the Chaldeans." But he didn't listen to him. So Arijah seized Jeremiah and brought him to the princes. The princes were angry with Jeremiah and struck him and put him in prison in the house of Jonathan the scribe, for they had made that the prison. When Jeremiah had come into the dungeon house and into the cells, and Jeremiah had remained there many days, then Zedekiah the king sent and had him brought out. The king asked him secretly in his house, "Is there any word from Yahweh?" Jeremiah said, "There is." He also said, "You will be delivered into the hand of the king of Babylon." Moreover, Jeremiah said to King Zedekiah, "How have I sinned against you, against your servants, or against this people, that you have put me in prison? Now where are your prophets who prophesied to you, saying, 'The king of Babylon will not come against you, nor against this land'? Now please hear, my lord the king. Please let my supplication be presented before you, that you not cause me to return to the house of Jonathan the scribe, lest I die there." Then Zedekiah the king commanded, and they committed Jeremiah into the court of the guard. They gave him daily a loaf of bread out of the baker's street until all the bread in the city was gone. Thus Jeremiah remained in the court of the guard. Shephatiah. Okay, here we go. Shephatiah, the son of Matan, and Gedaliah, the son of Pashur, and Jucal, the son of Shelemiah, and Pashur, the son of Malchijah, heard the words that Jeremiah spoke to all the people, saying, "Yahweh says, he who remains in this city will die by the sword, by the famine, and by the pestilence. But he who goes out to the Chaldeans will live, and he will escape with his life, and he will live. Yahweh says, this city will surely be given into the hand of the army of the king of Babylon, and he will take it." Then the princes said to the king, "Please let this man be put to death, because he weakens the hands of the men of war who remain in this city, and the hands of all the people in speaking such words to them. For this man doesn't seek the welfare of this people, but harm." Zedekiah the king said, "Behold, he is in your hand, for the king can't do anything to oppose you." Then they took Jeremiah and threw him into the dungeon of Malchijah, the king's son, who was in the court of the guard. They let down Jeremiah with cords. In the dungeon there was no water, but mire, and Jeremiah sank in the mire. That sounds nasty. Now when Ebedmelech the Ethiopian, a eunuch who was in the king's house, heard that they put Jeremiah in the dungeon, the king was then sitting in Benjamin's gate, Ebedmelech went out of the king's house and spoke to the king, saying, "My lord the king, these men have done evil in all that they have done to Jeremiah the prophet, whom they have cast into the dungeon. He is likely to die in the place where he is because of the famine, for there is no more bread in the city." Then the king commanded Ebedmelech the Ethiopian, saying, "Take from here 30 men with you, and take up Jeremiah the prophet out of the dungeon before he dies." So Ebedmelech took the men with him, and went into the house of the king under the treasury, and took from there rags and worn-out garments, and let them down by cords into the dungeon to Jeremiah. Ebedmelech the Ethiopian said to Jeremiah, "Now put these rags and worn-out garments under your armpits, under the cords." Jeremiah did so. So they drew up Jeremiah with the cords and took him up out of the dungeon, and Jeremiah remained in the court of the guard. Then Zedekiah the king sent and took Jeremiah the prophet to himself into the third entry that is in Yahweh's house. Then the king said to Jeremiah, I will ask you something. Hide nothing from me. Then Jeremiah said to Zedekiah, If I declare it to you, will you not surely put me to death? If I give you counsel, you will not listen to me. So Zedekiah the king swore secretly to Jeremiah, saying, As Yahweh lives, who made us this soul, I will not put you to death, neither will I give you into the hand of these men who seek your life. Then Jeremiah said to Zedekiah, Yahweh, the God of armies, the God of Israel, says, If you will go out to the king of Babylon's princes, then your soul will live, and this city will not be burned with fire. You will live, along with your house. But if you will not go out to the king of Babylon's princes, then this city will be given into the hand of the Chaldeans, and they will burn it with fire, and you won't escape out of their hand. Zedekiah the king said to Jeremiah, I am afraid of the Jews who have defected to the Chaldeans, lest they deliver me into their hand, and they mock me. But Jeremiah said, They won't deliver you. Obey, I beg you, Yahweh's voice in that which I speak to you. So it will be well with you, and your soul will live. But if you refuse to go out, this is the word that Yahweh has shown me. Behold, all the women who are left in the king of Judah's house will be brought out to the king of Babylon's princes, and those women will say, Your familiar friends have turned on you, and have prevailed over you. Your feet are sunk in the mire. They have turned away from you. They will bring out all your wives and your children to the Chaldeans. You won't escape out of their hand, but will be taken by the hand of the king of Babylon. You will cause this city to be burned with fire. Then Zedekiah said to Jeremiah, Let no man know these words, and you won't die. But if the princes hear that I have talked with you, and they come to you and tell you, Declare to us now what you have said to the king, don't hide it from us, and we will not put you to death. Also tell us what the king said to you. Then you shall tell them, I presented my supplication before the king, that he would not cause me to return to Jonathan's house to die there. Then all the princes came to Jeremiah and asked him, and he told them according to all these words that the king had commanded. So they stopped speaking with him, for the matter was not perceived. So Jeremiah stayed in the court of the guard until the day that Jerusalem was taken. That is it for Jeremiah. Now we're going to jump into Ezekiel. And this is the note that I've got in Ezekiel for the reading list in chronological order here. So it says Ezekiel's, come on, bro. Come on now. I got a son named Ezekiel, not Ezekiel. Sometimes. Ezekiel, his ministry, that's what we're talking about, began in July of 593 BC. Ezekiel was among those deported to Babylon when King Jehoiakim surrendered Jerusalem to the Babylonians in February of 597 BC, 4.5 years before Ezekiel's first vision. And we're going to read through, what are we going to read through? Chapter 3, verse 15. So here's 1:1. Now in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river Kibar, the heavens were opened, and I saw visions of God. In the 5th of the month, which was the 5th year of King Jehoiakim's captivity, Yahweh's word came to Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Kibar, and Yahweh's hand was there on him. I looked, and behold, a stormy wind came out of the north, a great cloud with flashing lightning and a brightness around it, and out of the middle of it, as it were glowing metal, out of the middle of the fire. Out of its center came the likeness of 4 living creatures. This was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. Everyone had 4 faces, and each one of them had 4 wings. Their feet were straight feet. The sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like burnished bronze. They had the hands of a man under their wings on their 4 sides. The 4 of them had their faces and their wings like this. Their wings were joined to one another. They didn't turn where they went. Each one went straight forward. As for the likeness of their faces, they had the face of a man. The 4 of them had the face of a lion on the right side. The 4 of them had the face of an ox on the left side. The 4 of them also had the face of an eagle. Such were their faces. Their wings were spread out above. 2 wings, each one touched another, and 2 covered their bodies. Each one went straight ahead. Where the Spirit was to go, they went. They didn't turn as they went. As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, like the appearance of torches. The fire went up and down among the living creatures. The The fire was bright, and lightning went out of the fire. The living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning. Now as I saw the living creatures, behold, there was one wheel on the earth beside the living creatures, for each of the four faces of it. The appearance of the wheels and their work was like a beryl, like the gem, B-E-R-Y-L. The four of them had one likeness. Their appearance and their work was, as it were, a wheel within a wheel. When they went in their four directions. They didn't turn where they went. As for their rims, they were high and dreadful, and the four of them had their rims full of eyes all around. So, yeah, I mean, Ezekiel's probably not the place you want to start, I guess. It's probably not the place you want to start reading the Bible. You're like, that makes sense. When the living creatures went, the wheels went beside them. When the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Wherever the Spirit was to go, they went. The Spirit was to go there. The wheels were lifted up beside them, for the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. When those went, these went. When those stood, these stood. When those were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up beside them, for the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. Sorry, just another aside real quick. But it's like, we get to thinking, many of us, I want to hear from God like this. I want to see crazy visions. I want to be here. But he didn't have any other means to hear from God. They didn't, because they were in captivity. So God has spoken to men in different times in days past. So that's not the way he speaks to us now. He speaks to us through his word. You have it. We have it. We're in it right now. I don't think we're going to hear like this. I'm not going to see anything like this. And even if you did, you need to compare it to what we have in his word, sustained for us, to make sure that what you're seeing is not a deception of some sort or whatever else you got going on. All right, verse 22, I'm done. Over the head of the living creature, there was the likeness of an expanse, like an awesome crystal to look at, stretched out over their heads above. Under the expanse, their wings were straight, one toward the other. Each one had two which covered on this side, and each one had two which covered their bodies on that side. When they went, I heard the noise of their wings like the noise of great waters, like the voice of the Almighty, a noise of tumult, like the noise of an army. When they stood, he let down their wings. There was a voice above the expanse that was over their heads. When they stood, they let down their wings. Above the expanse that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of a sapphire stone. On the likeness of the throne was a likeness as the appearance of a man on it above. I saw as it were glowing metal, as the appearance of fire within it all around, from the appearance of his waist and upward. From the appearance of his waist and downward I saw as it were the appearance of fire, and there was brightness around him. As the appearance of the rainbow that is in the cloud in the day of rain, so was the appearance of the brightness all around. This was the appearance of the likeness of Yahweh's glory. When I saw it, I fell on my face, and I heard a voice of one that spoke. It seems like a reasonable reaction. I fell on my face when presented with that or confronted with that. Yeah, that's right. Ezekiel chapter 2, verse 1. He said to me, Son of man, stand on your feet, and I will speak with you. The Spirit entered into me when he spoke to me and set me on my feet, and I heard him who spoke to me. Seriously, he couldn't even stand up. He needed help. He needed help to do that, which that makes sense as well. He said to me, Son of man, I send you to the children of Israel, to a nation of rebels who have rebelled against me. They and their fathers have transgressed against me even to this very day. The children are impudent and stiff-hearted. I am sending you to them, and you shall tell them, This is what the Lord Yahweh says. Whether they will hear or whether they will refuse, for they are a rebellious house, yet they will know that there has been a prophet among them. You, son of man, don't be afraid of them. Neither be afraid of their words, though briars and thorns are with you, and you dwell among scorpions. Don't be afraid of their words, nor be dismayed at their looks, for they are a rebellious house. You shall speak my words to them, whether they will hear or whether they will refuse, for they are most rebellious. But you, son of man, hear what I tell you. Don't be rebellious like that rebellious house. Open your mouth and eat that which I give you. When I looked, behold, a hand was stretched out to me, and behold, a scroll of a book was in it. He spread it before me. It was written within and without, and lamentations, mourning, and woe were written in it. He said to me, Son of man, eat what you find. It's like, ooh, are you sure? Maybe that's not the right answer, but that's what I would be thinking. Are you sure? So I opened my mouth, and he caused me to eat the scroll. He said to me, Son of man, cause your belly to eat and fill your bowels with this scroll that I give you. Then I ate it, and it was as sweet as honey in my mouth. He said to me, Son of man, go to the house of Israel and speak my words to them. For you are not sent to a people of strange speech and of a hard language, but to the house of Israel. Not to many peoples of a strange speech and of a hard language whose words you can't understand. Surely if I sent you to them, they would listen to you. But the house of Israel will not listen to you, for they will not listen to me. For all the house of Israel are obstinate and hard-hearted. Behold, I have made your face hard against their faces, and your forehead hard against their foreheads. I have made your forehead as a diamond, harder than flint. Don't be afraid of them, neither be dismayed at their looks, though they are a rebellious house. Moreover, he said to me, Son of man, receive in your heart and hear with your ears all my words that I speak to you. Go to them of the captivity, to the children of your people, and speak to them, and tell them, this is what the Lord Yahweh says, whether they will hear or whether they will refuse. Then the Spirit lifted me up, and I heard behind me the voice of a great rushing, saying, Blessed be Yahweh's glory from this place. I heard the noise of the wings of the living creatures as they touched one another, and the noise of the wheels beside them, even the noise of the great rushing. But the Spirit lifted me up and took me away, and I went in bitterness, in the heat of my spirit, and Yahweh's hand was strong on me. Then I came to them of the captivity at Tel Aviv, that lived by the river Kebar, and to where they lived, and I sat there, overwhelmed among them, 7 days. It is also interesting there, just real quick, it's just like, that's where he wanted to be. He didn't want to leave. How do you explain that? He didn't want to leave such a terrifying place or experience. Well, it's because God was there. It's a simple fix, simple equation. Because God was there. That's why Ezekiel didn't want to leave. Real Christians don't want heaven unless God is there. That seems to make sense. Pastor once told me, I can't remember, preached a sermon from the pulpit, I think, and that was the main point, was that sometimes we want heaven as no repercussion for sin. If that's the case, you're still far off. But true Christians do not want heaven unless God is there. Christians want to be with God. Ezekiel wanted to be with God. He had a message, he had a work, or a message to bring and a work to do, but he didn't want to leave because he wanted to be with God. So speaking of people who are working for the gospel, we're going to pray for Tim and Carol Avery today. They work with Pioneers International in Kenya. And here is what they need. Here are their prayer requests. The Lord to provide the support they still need and their visas. Wisdom for Tim as he serves Ecclesia Africa remotely from the U.S. while they're waiting for those things, and helps them to develop pastoral training curricula and publish new books. Grace and strength for Carol and Tim in parenting their 3 little girls and preparing to move abroad. So trying to get over there, trying to make it to Kenya. But troubles normally, right? Troubles ensue. So let us pray. Father, thank you so much for today. Thank you for preserving your word. I pray that you would please give us contentment with your word. When we read about these fantastic visions of Ezekiel, and we think of just the way that you spoke to the prophets in the past, there's a part of us that longs for that wants to have visions, that wants to hear voices, that wants to see incredible and amazing things. But you said, blessed are those who believe even though they haven't seen or touched, right, the Lord Jesus Christ. And we thank you for that, and we want to be that. Pray that you would please have mercy on us for that. We also pray for Tim and Carol Avery, that you would provide them with the support and the visas that they need to get over to Kenya. And then in the meantime, that you would please give Tim wisdom as he serves the Ecclesia Africa and helps to develop training materials and publish new books. That also that you would give them grace to train their children up in fear and admonition of the Lord and prepare them for the move that is to come, the culture change that is to come, and everything else that comes along with it. I pray for Tim and Carol that they would talk about it like it's an adventure, and that they would treat it like that, and that would be evident to the kids, and that would rub off on them, and that they would be like, yeah, this is going to be a great thing. This is going to be fantastic. they would view it like that, and that you would please enable them to continue to carry that enthusiasm through the challenges that are bound to come as they move and make their home in Kenya. Bless their trip, bless their travel, bless their relationships, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, y'all. Sorry for all the stumbling and bumbling through today's episode, but thanks for listening. Show notes are at notmanynoble.com, and you can always hit me up via email, notmanynoble@gmail.com. So I'll talk with you tomorrow. Peace.